to having a quorum.
So actually, before we start, can I actually, Mr. Mayor and Superintendent, can I congratulate you two on the contract? That's wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Watching what's going on around the state, it's actually even more amazing than probably people may realize, but
Thank you so much. No, we're thrilled. We had a great team from the school department, and the LTU was great to work with. We are very excited that that worked out how it did. So
And
thank you.
we now have a quorum.
Great. So we will call to order the Pickering School Building Committee. Roll call, please.
Mayor Nicholson,
Present.
Dr. Alvarez, Mr. Bertino, Member Castellanos, Councilor Chakoudas, Mike Donovan,
present.
Ms. Drago,
Present.
Member Gately, Ms. Gerardo, Mr. Kolokides, Councilor LaPierre, Mr. Makua,
Present.
Mr. Mannion,
Present.
Mr. Marlin,
Present.
Mayor McGee,
Present.
Councilor Meany, Ms. Miller, Ms. Philbrook,
Present.
Mr. Ridley,
Present.
Ms. Ruggiero,
Present.
and Mr. Smart. Joe, we couldn't hear you, but I see you're here.
Present.
Okay, we do have a quorum. Share my screen. Okay, should all be able to see that now?
Yep.
So tonight we'll go through our meeting minutes from last month. We'll give you quick updates on procurement, construction, and the most important, the ground improvements and how that process is going. We'll talk a little bit about schedule, and then we'll open things up for questions and comments. So first item is a review of the meeting minutes from May 14th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Lynn, would you like to walk everyone through the budget?
Sure. Out of our total project budget, we have committed 34% and we have expended 19% to date. We have minimal work in progress right now. I think we've done a lot, as much of the civil work as we can do. And we're gearing up to start ground improvements in the next couple of weeks. Next. In terms of our cash flow, our actual versus our projected is really falling behind, and that's mainly because of where we are with ground improvements, foundations, and all of that. So, and also too, I evenly distribute contingencies by each month, and we haven't expended much of that. So in terms of, I can take this, Greg, unless you want to, but
No, go ahead.
we made our way through the electrical bid protests. As we said last time, Anise Electric was the ended up being the low bidder after the protest, and they have been awarded a subcontract by Consigli.
Then maybe we'll pause there for a moment, ask if there are any questions. I see Mr. Mannion's got thumbs up, so that's great. And then we'll turn things over to Consigli. Brandon, would you like to take us through the photos?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. So this is a drone shot from one of our monthly drone flights looking from the east side of the site towards the west. You'll still see our excavation is at a similar point as it was last month, but we've continued with testing of all the rigid inclusion elements for the plan for moving forward. So you see all that equipment set up here in the image. And then this is a shot from the west looking east. We wanted to highlight, you see where we had the temporary playground for Sisson and Pickering during this school year. Come next week, once the teachers are out of school, we're going to go in there and continue to work on the switchback ramp that is shown as the permanent design. So we'll be moving that site fence further west, taking back that playground and working through the switchback ramp, and then resetting up temp playground for them come next school year. This is a shot from inside the building excavation from the north side looking south. So you just see we've continued to prep what we can. We did continue and finish substantially our site work scope, as Lynn had mentioned earlier. I believe the next photo, Craig, if you want to go to that one, is a handful of the kind of close-in shots of the drill rig. So on the left is a partial displacement, which is just one of the two type of rigid inclusions that we've been testing out to understand performance of. In the middle is a full displacement bit. So again, just another type of rigid inclusion that we've tested. And on the right here is the test setup. So we've done 4 tests of rigid inclusion elements, understanding how they're going to perform and how they're going to perform throughout the building footprint to make sure that we're calculating everything with the most precision as we possibly can here as we work through our solution. This is a shot of what will be the future parking lot. So we have subgraded, compacted everything there. Now that Anise is on board, we're just trying to work through some submittals to do some underground prep within that area. And then we still have a goal of doing our permanent binder paving at some point this summer once we're able to get through some of that underground conduit and prep. I do see a hand from Rich.
So are we still going forward with the geothermal? I'm not completely understanding what we're talking about here.
No, at this point, we aren't moving forward with the
Okay.
geothermal, basically due to the cost of the rigid inclusions and some of the efforts that we have to do to
Okay.
support the SOE.
All right, thank you.
This is another image of the setting up for a load test. You can see some rebar poking out of the ground. Each one of those is either a test or an indicator element for a rigid inclusion. And then we would have placed that test setup around those inclusions and use the rebar as part of the whole testing structure that was needed for each one of the tests that we completed.
Thank you, Brandon. Any questions about the progress on site?
Brandon, I have a question. Is LeMessurier still producing some type of peer review report on this?
Who was that? Sorry.
I thought LeMessurier were on doing a peer review on anything structure.
No, well, for the ground improvements, it's been Haley and Aldridge and SGH.
Oh, okay.
I think they consiglially had Thornton Tomasetti on for any structural peer review, but I do know that EDG has gone through the whole building structure and indicated that there will be minimal changes to the structural required of what we're doing here. We just have to increase the width of some of the footings to span the jet grouting that we're doing along the supportive excavation adjacent to the Sisson School.
Well, that's good news. Thank you. Thanks.
We see a few hands up. I think I saw Mr. Mannion's hand first.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I just want to ask a question or point something out. I read through the package, and obviously there's going to be a budget adjustment that is going to cost us a geothermal, and you're still putting together a package for this. Is there any consideration to putting these guys to work 6 hours a day, 10 hours a day, 6 days a week to try and get this back on schedule so that we're going to meet September 2027? just so we can get this part of it done, pour the concrete, and, once we see the steel going up, we know we're building the building, so.
We would certainly like to accelerate things, but with the budget that we have, gonna be left with after we pay for, the ground improvements, it's gonna be a delicate balance. We're gonna certainly look to, make the construction as efficient as possible and take a look at how we can improve upon the schedule. But right now, we're in December of 2027 at this point. And until we know, the pace of the installation of the ground improvements and how quickly the earthquake drains go in and how quickly this whole operation can get us to the point of foundations and structural steel, it will be very difficult for us to be able to tell you now that we could do it just by acceleration of the labor force.
All right, Lynn, I appreciate that. And you've done due diligence to this whole thing, so we don't have, as we call, the classical again. So I appreciate considerably you and all of yous.
Yeah, I do want to add on that we are running whatever possible schedule options we can to help this whole team make decisions. So the timing and the dates that Lynn are saying is all backed up by many iterations of schedule as we continue to progress the design. So we're doing the best we can, and we're continuing to explore options, but it is very tough with what can be accelerated and by how much.
Okay, thank you.
Member Gately, I see you've got your hand up.
Yes, Brendan, I obviously am sorry for being late. I was running in from a commitment I had to go to. I missed your little presentation. Could you give me a synopsis of what you basically said?
Yeah, so over the last month since our last meeting, we've continued with the testing program that we've been telling everyone about. So rigid inclusions. We actually ended up doing some additional than was originally the plan, as we wanted to get more and more information. So in terms of what's been happening on site, we've been doing a lot of testing so that all the folks on the engineering side of the solution have as much data as possible, and we can feel as most amount of comfort behind our ground improvement solution. So that's essentially what's continued for the last month or so.
All right, so thank you. I'll listen to the rest of it and I'll probably get it. Thanks.
That's actually a really good segue. Oh, Mr. Mannion?
One last quick one. Brent, I'm going to ask you, I assume the steel has been purchased and it's ready to go once we get to that point that we can move forward with the steel?
The steel has been purchased and fabrication has been ongoing throughout this entire delay in Canada. And not just steel. We haven't stopped with procurement of anything else. So we've continued with all our submittals and approvals and working through shop drawings and details. Our rebar was ready to go. It's still sitting there ready to go. So we'll have some minor tweaks, but we get to keep the vast majority of everything that's made. So we're not stopping to make sure that when we get the green light and we know what we're doing, that we can keep going.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Mayor McGee's got his hand up.
Thanks. Thank you. Follow up to that. In terms of the tariffs and the rocky road of procuring the kind of materials that are needed for this project, is that how is that being incorporated into moving forward? I mean, so we've got all of the work going on. Is that pre-tariff, post-tariff? What are we looking at in terms of the consequences of some of the decisions being made?
So in terms of material that was already purchased, it was purchased pre-tariff. So that's been a balancing act. As we all know, things change, unfortunately, what seems like daily, right? Right now, the project team has made the decision to leave the steel in Canada for now. It avoids some basically paying double, one, a tariff for it to come across, and then two, to have it sit in the United States and stored somewhere. So as each thing comes up tariff related, we're trying to get as many options as possible to navigate our way around it. There will be some cost impacts that we continue to try to further understand, but it has been happening mostly on the very clean and clear items such as structural steel, where they can easily put a tariff on it as it comes across the border. Holistically, we're not seeing impacts on some other things. So it's an ongoing process that we're trying to track the best we can and keeping this project team up to date.
Thanks. I know it's tough to navigate through what the decisions are and what's happening moving forward. So I just want to ask the question. Obviously, be aware of it. Hopefully, it's not going to impact the project as much as it could. So thanks, Brendan.
No problem.
Any other questions? Oh, go ahead. All right. Any other questions before we move on? All right. So this slide is a recap, repeating some of the stuff that Brandon was just telling us, but all the things that have happened since our last meeting. And so Terracon, the design geotechnical engineer of record, has contracted with Keller, who is the installer of these rigid inclusions and earthquake drains, to do design assist with them. So that partnership has helped with the design, and will certainly help when it comes to the submittals, because everyone's already familiar with the system and the spacing and all the details. Multiple test piles were installed and load tested, and they all performed very well. So that was really welcome news to the whole design team and project team. As we mentioned last month, RDA and their mechanical engineer have revised that HVAC system design. And right now, Consigli, or they may have just finished that, pulling together a price for that. And so now we'll all review it.
It's also the electrical system redesign as well, and we do have a price for both the revised HVAC and electrical work.
Great, good point. Thank you, Lynn. So that process is moving in parallel with these ground improvements. SGH is a firm, also a very experienced geotechnical engineer. And they have taken on the responsibility of that supportive excavation, that sheet metal wall that kind of goes around 3 sides of the site. So they have been working to augment that, come up with a design to stabilize it, and in a way that construction can move forward within the building footprint. So they've been working on that. And that solution involves jet grouted piers, which is a pretty neat technology. Structural engineer has reviewed the rigid inclusion design, earthquake design, SOE design, and has confirmed, I think Brandon mentioned this, confirmed that the original building structure can remain as it was designed, with just a few minor tweaks, a few footings that are going to get wider. So overall, that's very good news as well, that there's no major redesign needed for this building structure. And then, of course, Consigli continues to work with everybody to understand costs and schedule impacts, and Left Field has been keeping the MSBA informed all along. Okay, I see some questions. Mr. Makua.
Just quick question on the HVAC system. What exactly is, since Geo is out of the picture right for now, what exactly are we doing in terms of changes? And also to follow up on that, are there clashes exercise already been done between all the other MEP designed?
I think maybe Gene can answer that first part, and then maybe Brandon the second part.
I'm sure, Flory. It's still an all electric design, but
Okay.
it's going to be an air source heat pump system instead of the ground source. So we've got some larger rooftop units up on the roof, and our structural engineer has supplemented some of the steel to hold them up. There's some more electrical draw with this system, So that's why Lynn mentioned that the electrical is changing as well, but it is still an all electric design.
Okay. Just to follow up real quick, any parapet or some type of fencing that'll go around some of these units on the roof?
Yeah, the original design, we did have rooftop units up on the roof. They've just become larger.
Right.
But we did have a full perimeter of
Fence.
fencing
Oh,
around it.
okay.
Um,
All right. Thank you.
Thanks,
Screening.
Gene. And
Screening,
then
not
Brandon,
fencing.
do you want to talk about what Kevin's been working on from Consigli?
Yeah, so we did high level clash detection during pre-construction with Gene and his team. So we caught all the big picture items that could get into the 100% documents. So we did that already.
Okay.
And now we are actively doing our MEP coordination. So we've gotten through the underground. Everyone's drawing on floors 1 and 2. There'll be
Yep.
some minor modifications due to this HVAC electrical plumbing change, right? That we've kind of avoided the main electrical rooms and main mechanical room areas for now, but they're working all their distribution. So we should be in good shape in terms of schedule to be well ahead with all our coordination. So that is an ongoing process now.
If I just, do we have a generator on this project?
We do, yes.
We do. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mr. Mannion?
Just as an electrician, obviously when I saw we're going all electric, we're going to be upgrading the service, I assume. Distribution panels, feeders to these units. Are we going to stay in line with the contract that has been selected, or is this going to be extras, upgrades to the bids?
I mean, this redesign will have some added cost, right? Because to your point, yes, some panels did need to get upsized. There's some modifications on electrical, HVAC, plumbing, structural steel, some mods, as Gene noted. But the idea is, and our estimate did back up, that geothermal deletion more than offsets what we are projecting and have estimated these added costs to be. So it is a net positive from a cost standpoint in the construction budget to make this change. But
Okay,
there
thank
will
you,
be
Dan.
adds.
Yeah, thank you. Just had to ask a question.
Now, so talking a little bit about, oh, I see Mr. Marlin's got his hand up. Go ahead.
So are we looking at any solar to offset the cost of all the increased electricity?
Because we have such a small footprint, I mean, I'll let Gene respond, but the amount of solar that would have a huge impact would be in other words, the amount of area we have for solar would result in minimal energy
Generation.
That's it.
So Rich, it's a pretty small footprint to begin with. A good chunk of it, at least a third, is taken up by the learning deck that's on the roof of the second floor. And then the L-shaped roof that's up high at the fifth floor so it's not the full footprint, and then it has all these HVAC units, and it has the rooftop screening. So there's, as Lynn was saying, there's just not a lot of room left for PV panels up there.
All right, I know, I don't have any idea what I'm talking about. Can you put solar on Sisson and then run that to run Pickering?
The roof at Sisson I can just say it would have to be evaluated to see if it can hold up the weight of the panels, because they're held down with ballast.
I trust you guys. I'm just saying they have a pretty big roof. It's pretty flat.
Yeah. And I just don't know where the project budget's going to end up, to be honest, till all these schedule impacts are figured out.
It's certainly something we could look at, because we could certainly do a purchase power agreement. Look at that, since that would be zero
Right.
cost.
It's within the square foot, but maybe just conduits for now, right? maybe just empty conduits from one building to another building and then just cap it for future.
So Flory, I guess that is something that already exists in the documents, not necessarily building to building, but
Right.
within the confines of the new building itself, we will have a pathway to
Right.
get to the roof. And there will be the option, I guess, in the future to add X number of solar panels. So the infrastructure should be there, that if the city decides in the future at some point that it's something they're interested in, part of that will already be in place.
So you're saying conduit from Sisseton to Pickering, or it's already part of the project? Okay.
Not between the two buildings, but
So you're talking
conduit
about-
from the electrical room to the roof
Right.
on the new Pickering will already be in place, which is sometimes half the battle if you're trying to retrofit an older building for a system like that.
Right.
See, Mayor McGee's got his hand up.
Thanks. Just to follow up on that, how about in the parking area, you know, where there's opportunity to have solar panels over the parking lot? I mean, has that been thought about or discussed, and would that opportunity be not precluded from doing it if we can't do it now, but looking at that opportunity moving forward? I mean, there's much larger space down there, and there's a lot of places that are actually putting parking and then putting solar panels above the parking. So I don't know if that's been thought about, or is, again, if it's not in the budget and not available now, it could be an option or opportunity to explore that moving forward.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, and we could run fairly inexpensively conduit from the new electric room out to the parking lot to support parking canopies. And you could just leave it at that. That would be fairly inexpensive.
Okay, any other questions? And so shifting gears a little bit to schedule. So as we mentioned a couple times, Consigli is working to understand what the full impacts of the time that the project delays that have occurred in order to study and test this new ground improvement system. So once that is understood, they'll plug that into the schedule. I think they already have some working schedules, but not ready for publication. And we recognize that there are impacts to the schedule. And I think, as Lynn was saying earlier, the team is going to continue to look for opportunities to reduce the time of construction wherever possible. We won't really know the full extent of what's necessary to recover or abbreviate the construction duration until we really get that rigid inclusions, that ground improvements installed, see how quickly it goes, and kind of make an assessment at that point. So we don't have our normal schedule graphic for you because it's still a lot of it is still up in the air. What we do have is our regular SBC meeting schedule. So our next meeting will be July 16th. And then we've got obviously one in August and September. If additional meetings are needed in between, we'll coordinate with the building committee to schedule those. But for now, I think reporting out kind of once a month has been working pretty well.
We hope to start construction on July 7th. We're working toward that date. And I mean, the start of the rigid include, well, you might want to talk about how you're going to start it first, Brandon.
Yeah, so that July 7th date that Lynn just mentioned is something the entire group is working towards. You'll likely see earthquake drains start first, something that we've already got in the procurement pathway to get what we need down from up here from South Carolina. And then to follow would be the rigid inclusions, and at some point in that, the jet grout detail that Craig had mentioned earlier. So we're part of that whole schedule analysis is our sequencing and where we can stack and overlap strategically to make all this stuff come together in as short a time frame as possible. And we're still working through the nitty gritty on it, but that July 7th is we're pushing as hard as we can for that to keep getting some more equipment out on site with the hopes of everyone seeing us a lot more busy the week after the 4th.
Any other questions about what we've presented or just general thoughts, comments?
I just want to say, I know this has been a challenging period for the project team as well as the committee with the issues that were discovered and all the work and questions to work through them. And I appreciate everyone's commitment and diligence. I know there's still some open questions here, but we do seem to be seeing some light at the end of the tunnel in terms of having a way forward here, and really appreciate everyone's help and support to make that possible. And there's some pain in terms of what this has cost the project, but also I hope some reassurance that we will be feeling good when this building is standing, that this has been done the right way. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I thank you too. Watching what happened at Classical, we can't even have one portion of Pickering having a similar problem, because it would cost us much more than it's going to cost us now. Thank you for your hard work and diligence.
Agreed.
You want a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good night, everyone. Thank you so
Night.
much.
Happy
Have a
4th.
great 4th,
nice night.
everyone.
Thank you all.
Take care.
See you at the golf course, Tom.